Knights vs. Dragons.
Yeah, by Jaden Kent. Book 3 in the Ella and Owen series. Table of contents. Happy Dragon Day, the stinkiest dessert of all. Nuts. All right, let's read. Happy Dragon Day. If something in Terror Swamp tries to eat me, I'm totally blaming you, Owen said. Me? His twin sister Ella replied. Yes, you. Going to Terror Swamp was your idea, not mine. We can't disappoint Dad, Ella said. He's expecting a stinky fish, and we are going to catch it for him. The fishing pole over her shoulder swung back and forth as her feet trampled through the forest. The two dragons had left their home in Dragon Patch that morning with a promise to catch a stinky fish for their father. Unfortunately, as all dragons know, the best stinky fish swim in the muddy waters of Terror Swamp. Are you sure this is the way to our doom? Terror Swamp? Owen asked. It's a shortcut I've heard of, Ella said. This path through the forest takes us to the other side of Fright Mountain. Do you trust Ella's shortcuts, Apollo? No.
She's just trying to get Owen stuck in something.
She's always up to mischief, huh?
Yeah.
What? You mean the wrong side of Fright Mountain? Well, where the knights live? Owen fearfully exclaimed. Oh my. Uh-oh, that sounds ominous, huh, Apollo? I've read the books and the scrolls about those knights in the castle, and I've listened to the awful stories from Uncle Scales and great-great-grandmother Clawfoot. Knights hate dragons as much as trolls hate baths. Owen's wings nervously fluttered. Don't you want to see a real castle and a live knight? Ella asked. Why would I want to meet anything that wants to turn my beautiful scaly skin into a pair of dragon boots? Owen asked. I don't want to be boots or shoes or even sandals or... Would it be better if they wanted to turn you into a hat? Ella joked. There is nothing you can say to change my mind, Owen huffed. There is no way I am going to that castle with you. No way. Well, then, I guess you'll just have to go back home all by yourself, Ella said. Back through Fear Forest, the Field of Dread, the Sands of Suffering. But you know best. Her wings fluttered. Ta-ta, little brother. She flew off and headed toward the castle. Owen looked around, filled with fear. Okay, there's no way you're going to the castle without me. Owen's wings fluttered faster, and he took off after his sister. She's good at tricking Owen, huh?
Yeah.
The two dragons flew through the sky and into the clouds, and in just a few minutes the clouds disappeared, and before Ella and Owen was the castle of the knights who hate dragons. Bom, bom, bom. The castle was made of stone blocks, with a higher tower at each corner and a large wooden door. Across the door was a big banner. The two dragons landed behind a thick row of bushes near the castle. Owen pushed the branches apart and peeked out. Look at all the people in the village, Ella said. They're singing. It's some kind of festival. Check out the banner over the castle door, Owen pointed. This is our kind of party. The banner had only 2 handwritten words splattered on it. Dragon Day. I told you the knights weren't so bad, Ella said. They celebrate dragons. Ella, what is that ugly thing under the banner? Owen said. Uh-oh. What is it? There was a large bag of straw hanging from a rope. 4 wooden sticks stuck out from the bag that looked a little like arms and legs. A pumpkin was tied to one end of the bag. 2 eyes and a jagged mouth had been carved into it. I think that is supposed to be a dragon, Ella replied. 4 knights then gathered around the dragon. Villagers happily danced and stuffed themselves with meat and cheese and bread. An old bard with a long gray beard sat with his mandolin, but didn't play it. Happy Dragon Day! The crowd roared. Happy Dragon Day! Owen smiled. Maybe these humans aren't so bad after all, if they have a holiday named after dragons. Smash the dragons! One of the knights shouted, and the villagers stopped dancing. They picked up tomatoes and apples from the festival tables and threw them at the bag of straw. The bard even used his mandolin to bash the fake dragon a few times. Happy Dragon Day, he sang. Wow, Ella said as they watched from their hiding place. That's the worst holiday ever. Well, for a dragon anyway, huh, Apollo?
Yeah. But for a human, it's the best thing for human.
Yeah, smashing the dragons.
Especially for a night.
Yeah. The stinkiest dessert of all, Chapter 2. Ella and Owen backed away from the bushes, making sure not to step on a dry twig, rustle any noisy leaves, or trip over their own claws. We have to get out of here now, Ella whispered. But Owen had stopped moving. He was sniffing at the air. Owen pointed toward the village feast. Leftovers were stacked on a table. Ella, do you see what I see? Owen gasped. A stinky fish strudel is on that table. It's the best dessert ever. Ella shook her head. I thought you said stinky fish cake is the best dessert ever. Pfft. Owen rolled his eyes. Spoken like a dragon who's never had a stinky fish strudel. I have a new plan that doesn't involve Terror Swamp. Owen pointed to the fish strudel on the table. We can just get Dad that stinky fish strudel instead. We'll be heroes, and nothing will eat me. I think your dragon brain has shriveled, Ella replied. That's a terrible idea. I know, Owen said. In fact, it's such a terrible idea, I'm surprised you didn't think it up. Fine, Ella replied. How do you plan to get your claws into that stinky fish strudel, Easy, Owen said, by using stealth dragon tiptoe skills. We don't have stealth dragon tiptoe skills, Ella pointed out. I do, Owen said. I learned them from a book, 101 Ways to be a Stealth Dragon. Come on. Owen tiptoed out of the bushes. He avoided stepping on a dry stick. He did not trip over a small rock. He dodged any prickly sticker cacti, and Ella followed close behind him. Owen grabbed the stinky fish strudel with his claws, but just as he was about to leave, Ella tapped him on the shoulder. Trouble, she whispered urgently. The 4 dragon-smashing knights stomped toward the table. Hide! Ella and Owen whispered, looking at each other. The twins scampered under the table. The long tablecloth hid them from the knights. Owen listened as the knights ate the stinky fish strudel. He wanted to eat it, and he wanted to eat it now! Can you smell it? It's beautifully stinky, Owen said. So stinky, beautiful, stinky, must have stinky fish strudel! Owen's eyes were wide with hunger, but the knights were still eating. But the strudel! Could he grab it from the table without getting caught? One of Owen's shaky hands crawled out from under the table. His claws slid over the table and grabbed a chunk of the stinky fish strudel. And... Yuck! What's with you and food that smells like moldy ogre socks? Ella asked. All the best food smells like moldy ogre socks, Owen replied. He held the fish strudel up to his mouth. Owen gobbled down the stinky fish in one bite and smiled happily. Then Owen hiccuped. Then he burped. Loud enough to rattle the table. Ella slapped a hand over Owen's snout. Shh, she whispered. The 4 knights lifted the tablecloth and stared at the 2 dragons under their table. Behold, said the first knight. What's this under our table? A happy dragon day? Ella cracked a weak smile. Chapter 3. Nuts. Run away! Owen shouted. The table flipped over as Ella and Owen jumped out from underneath it. Food flew into the air, cups spilled, plates rattled. The knights jumped back, startled. Ella and Owen ran as fast as they clawed feet could carry them. Ella huffed and puffed. You know, we could fly away. I can't, Owen replied. My wings are too scared to flutter. The 4 knights took off after the dragons. Get those things! One shouted. Don't let 'em get away! Yelled another light knight. Why do you think the knights called them things, Apollo, instead of dragons?
I don't know.
Do you think the knights might not know they're dragons?
Maybe they hadn't even got dragons.
Oh, maybe. They've never seen a real dragon. Through here, Owen said, pointing at a pair of closed wooden doors of the castle. He crashed into them and bounced off. He tumbled to the ground and stopped in front of Ella.
But why did they have Dragon Day?
I don't know. Maybe knights a long time ago saw dragons, but these knights never have. We don't know yet. We're going to find out, I have a feeling, though. Castle doors are pretty strong, Ella said. She pulled the doors open, and these are pull, not push doors. Ella and Owen ran inside the castle. Owen shut the doors behind them. Crash, bang, clatter, ba-boom! The knights crashed into the closed doors from outside. Curse those running away from us things, said one knight. They have door magic, said another. Inside the castle, Ella and Owen scrambled across the courtyard. They ran past a court jester who shook his rattle at them. Hey! What's a court jester, Apollo? It's a clown, somebody who just does funny acts and behaviors.
Dad, did you know I actually got this through the right here through the wall without breaking the rubber band?
I didn't, but I'm going to keep reading our story.
Okay.
Riddle me this. Why did the knights cross the road? The jester asked them. To get to the other side, Owen said, as he and Ella rushed past him. To get to the... Hey! How did you know that? The jester exclaimed. Ella and Owen ran into the nearest castle tower and up the stairs. Castle towers always have places to hide, Owen said. At least...
So silly of the gun doing that.
It is. At least they do in books. Clang, 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 clang. The footsteps of the knights clanged on the stairs. They're coming, Ella said. Quick, in here. She opened a door in the tower hallway and ran inside. Owen followed and closed the door behind them. Wow! Ella glanced around the room. Owen, look where we are. He turned and saw a room filled with swords, axes, spears, mallets, maces, poking sticks, lances, and a number of other pointy weapons that sent a chill up Owen's spine. Look over there! Ella pointed to a row of knights' shining armor. There were helmets, chest plates, and metal pieces for arms and legs. You're thinking of a really bad idea, aren't you? Owen asked, even though he already knew the answer. No, a great idea, you mean, Ella said, smiling. Whatever it is, I'm against it, Owen replied. We can disguise ourselves as knights and sneak out of here, Ella said. What do you think about that idea, Apollo? Is that a good idea or a bad idea? Yeah, we'll see. That idea's worse than my idea to get the stinky fish strudel. And that was the worst idea I have ever had, Owen said. He burped again. Burp. Even if it was yummy. These are perfect disguises. They'll never know it is us, Ella said. Never know? Owen cried out. We're dragons. We have tails. And do you know what knights hate the most? Tails! Because they're connected to dragons! Do you have a better idea? Ella asked him. We could, but then this could, any ideas at all, Owen? Ella said. She handed Owen a shiny metal helmet. I dub thee Sir Worry-a-Lot. Ha ha, Owen replied. He tried to squeeze his head into the helmet, but it was too small. He pulled and tugged and yanked until it popped into place. His snout stuck out from the visor. Ella took a deep breath and wiggled into a piece of armor that wrapped around her body. In just a few minutes, they were wearing full suits of armor and looked like large dragons stuffed into small tin cans. "You're nuts," Owen said, as they looked at themselves in the mirror. "Not nuts, knights," Ella said. "We're knights now." "You're nuts if you think the knights are nuts enough to think we're knights and not nuts," Owen said. "What?" Ella asked. "I don't know. I didn't really understand it either," Owen confessed. "But you're still nuts, and we're not knights." "Now, here's the plan," Ella explained. "I'll open the door, and we'll just walk out of the castle like we own the place, and head to Terror Swamp. No one will know it's us. Trust me." Ella gently pushed open the door. The 4 knights were standing in the hallway looking right at them. "What have we got here?" one of the knights asked. Chapter 4. Behold, Camel Knot. "What are you doing in the armory?" said one of the knights. We are," Owen stammered. Ella interrupted. "Hello, friends. This is the brave knight who is not a dragon, Sir Bonehead. And this is Sir Stinky Feet," Owen said, and pointed to Ella. "We're from Not Dragon Land. It's very nice to meet humans like us who are not dragons," Ella said. "We're just visiting your castle like knights who are not really dragons do." The 4 knights glared at Ella and Owen for a moment. Owen's dragon fangs began to chatter. Ella held her fire breath. "I am Sir Dragon Crusher," the first knight finally said. "I am Sir Dragon Stomper," the second knight proclaimed. "I am Sir Dragon Thumper," the third knight revealed. "Let me guess," Ella said, while pointing to the 4th knight. "You are Sir Dragon Masher Basher Crasher." No. My name is Barry," the 4th knight replied. "Welcome to Camel Knot." What kind of name is Barry for a knight? Huh? "Camel Knot?" Owen asked.
That is not a good name.
Yeah. Originally, we were called Camelot, but all the tourists were getting angry because there are no camels here, Dragon Crusher explained. "So, we changed the name to No Camelot, but no one liked that. So then we tried Camel Not a lot, and then Camelless, and then Camel Nada, and then Camel None, and then Camel Zero, and no camels here a lot, Betty, Camel Palooza, and Camel, and in the end everyone voted for Camel Knot." "Well, that sure explains everything," Owen said. "You'll love it here in Camel Knot," Dragon Crusher exclaimed. "We have all kinds of great festivals, like the Summer Festival of Brotherly Love," Dragon Stomper began. "Everyone in the castle gets together and bashes the straw out of a fake dragon." Brotherly Love. That sounds just like Dragon Day, huh? "And then there's the Spring Festival of Friendship," Dragon Thumper added, "where people come together to the castle from villages all across the land, and we all smash the straw out of a fake dragon together." "But the best festival of all is the Winter Festival of Hugs and Kindness," Barry said. "Ooh, you're right. That is the best one," Dragon Thumper agreed. "Because you smack all the straw out of a fake dragon?" Ella asked. "Don't be silly," Barry said. "We all share in a great feast and show our kindness and love toward all creatures. That does sound kind of nice," Owen said. "And then we smack all the straw out of a fake dragon," Dragon Crusher said. "Wha-ha-ha-ha." The hugs and kindness. Which of those holidays do you like the best, Apollo?
0.
"Why do you hate dragons so much?" Ella asked. "I don't know," Dragon Crusher said with a shrug. "Maybe because they're all made of straw," he added. "And if we ever see a real dragon, we'll prove it's made of straw and hate it even more," Dragon Thumper said. "We hate whatever they're made of," Dragon Stomper said. "I hate dragons because my dad hated dragons," Barry explained. And my dad's dad hated dragons too. And his dad hated dragons, and then his dad hated kittens. But his dad hated dragons, and his dad hated dragons. We get it, Ella said with a sigh. Actually, his mom hated dragons, but her dad hated dragons, Barry said. Oh, and kittens too. If none of you have ever actually even met a dragon, why do you hate them? Owen asked. Because they're made of straw, Dragon Crusher replied. So duh! No one told me there was going to be a test, Dragon Thumper whined. Pop, 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 pop! What was that? Ella whispered to her brother. Don't look now, Owen whispered back. But your tail is about to pop out of your armor, sister. Uh-oh, she exclaimed. Uh-oh's right. Chapter 5, Kittens. Thanks, guys, it's been swell. But we gotta fly, run, Owen said in a panic. He grabbed Ella and he pulled her toward the castle gates. See you later. Dragon Crusher and Dragon Stomper and Dragon Thumper and Dragon Cupid and Dragon Donner and Dragon Blitzen. Is that their names, Apollo? That's more like Santa's reindeer names, huh?
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha. Okay, where are you going? Dragon Thumper called out. We were all gonna go see if there were any princesses locked up in towers by a mean witch and that needs saving. We're going to Dragon Patch, Owen said without thinking. Uh-oh. Oh, well, we'll come along and help you knock the straw out of them dragons, Dragon Stomper yelled with a cheer. Hip hop hooray! That's a lot more fun than saving princesses. An annoyed Ella shouted, Dragons aren't made of straw. Pfft! Then what are they made out of? Dragon Barry chuckled. Boing, pop, bing, spring! Before Ella and Owen could make their escape, the knight's armor sprung off their bodies. Boing! Uh-oh. It's almost as if that's going to answer what dragons are made of, huh?
Yeah.
But we'll see. Snots, wings, tails, claws! Without any armor to hide their bodies, their true selves were revealed. Kittens! Dragon Stomper shouted. Those aren't kittens! Those, Dragon Thumper scratched his head. Not kittens, Ella asked. That's it! We're not kittens! They must be dragons! Dragon Thumper shouted. Uh-oh. Did they figure it out, Apollo?
Yeah.
Run! Owen shouted as he and Ella flew from the castle. Chase! Barry shouted and led the charge. No. We can't lead them back to Dragon Patch, Owen said, as the two dragons flew for their lives. That'd be the worst idea than disguising ourselves as knights. We need to lose them. That's the one thing the knights hate more than anything, Ella asked. Days? Owen replied. Get it? Ha-ha, 'cause they're knights, Owen explained. What did knights hate more than anything?
I don't know.
They said days, 'cause they're knights. Ha-ha. Get the joke?
Yeah.
Ha-ha, it's not that funny, huh? Are your scales too scaly? Ella asked. We're being chased by 4 knights with very long and very pointy swords, and you're telling dumb jokes? Funny jokes, Owen said. No, dumb jokes, Ella said. No, funny jokes. Dumb jokes, Ella shouted. The 2 dragons flapped their wings as quickly as they could, but they couldn't lose the 4 knights pursuing them on the ground below. I know. Let's fly into Terror Swamp, Ella said. That idea is even worse than my last joke, Owen said. It's a great idea. Even those knights aren't dumb enough to follow us into Terror Swamp, Ella exclaimed. Uh-oh. If the knights are too scared to go into Terror Swamp, does that sound like a good idea, Apollo?
No.
Oh, man. Ella is full of these types of ideas. Chapter 6.
I wish he ran out of ideas.
Sometimes I think Owen hopes so too. Chapter 6. Worst Holiday Ever. Those sure are some dumb knights, Ella sighed, and let out a puff of smoke as the knights followed them into Terror Swamp. Why does she think they're dumb knights?
Why?
Because they followed her into Terror Swamp. Bum, bum, bum.
Now I bet they're gonna be celebrating Night Day Dragons off.
Night Day, maybe. Dragon scales! What do we do now? Owen asked. Ella and Owen landed and were hiding behind a huge pile of moss that began to move. Is it moss if it moves?
No.
No. Ella, why is our hiding place moving? Owen asked. Roar! The moss pile that was not a moss pile howled. Slimy moss arms covered in swamp beetles reached for Ella. Roar! It's a beetle-covered bog monster! Owen shouted. The green beetle-covered bog monster was covered in smelly moss and towered above Ella and Owen. It looked like a giant pile of cooked spinach with legs and arms and a huge mouth. Gwar! The beetle-covered bog monster roared as it chased Ella and Owen. There they are! Dragon Crusher shouted the moment he spotted Ella and Owen. Dragon tails! Now we've got to lose a beetle-covered bog monster and 4 goofball knights, Owen complained as they fled deeper into Terror Swamp. Bum, bum, bum. I've got an idea! Follow me! Ella flew toward a distant light that was barely visible through the swamp vines and trees.
Now I know why they call it Terror Swamp.
Yeah,
because there's a monster that hides in there.
Full of terrible things so far. As they flew closer...
This book is so scary.
I think it's kind of funny. Because Ella and Owen are always getting into and out of these crazy predicaments. Don't you think?
And then but that just makes them behind time.
Well, let's see what happens in this predicament. As they flew closer to the light, they realized it was a camp. A troll camp, to be exact. I don't care if those trolls live in the most awesome tent in the world. We are not sneaking closer to get a better look, a very worried Owen whispered. You don't need to tell me twice, Ella said with a gulp. The 2 trolls in the camp were big and ugly and smelly and very ugly and hairy and very, very ugly and loud and very, very, very ugly. Oh, man. You were right, Apollo. Look, the trolls have a banner that says Happy Knights Day. That's crazy. You guessed it. A banner that said Happy Knights Day hung over the campsite. The trolls propped up a scarecrow dressed as a knight and cheered, Hooray for Knights Day! I'm really starting to think that we live in a very, very weird place, Owen said. But what's the plan? As if to answer Owen, the beetle-covered bog monster saw the trolls and fearfully ran in the opposite direction, leaving the dragons alone. Well, at least they got rid of the monster, huh? See, everyone's afraid of trolls, Ella said. Including me, Owen gulped. Now we just need the trolls to scare away those knights, Ella added. Where are they anyhow? Suddenly the knights pounced on Ella and Owen, capturing them in a net. We got you kittens now, Dragon Thumper said with a chuckle. Ha-ha! Dragons! Barry corrected. Shh! Dragon Stomper pointed to the Happy Knights Day banner. Knights Day? Barry read. What's that? Oh, just a little troll holiday. Ella pointed to the trolls who kicked around the fake knight as if it were a soccer ball. Wow! Dragon Crusher said. That's the worst holiday ever! Merrily we troll along. Chapter 7. The sight of the trolls filled the 4 knights with dread. I bet those trolls would never be brave enough to do that to a real knight, Ella said, hoping to trick the knights into leaving her and Owen alone so that they could escape. I know if I was a knight, I'd show those old trolls they couldn't mess with me, Owen said, with a sly wink to Ella. The 4 knights looked at the huge trolls, who were at least twice their height. They sure are big, Barry said. And ugly, Dragon Crusher said. If they're made of straw, we can crush them, Dragon Thumper quietly said in a timid voice. You go first, Barry. I'm always going first. You go first, Dragon Crusher, Barry said. I went first last time, Dragon Crusher protested. It's Dragon Stomper's turn. As the knights bickered about whose turn it was to go first, because none of them were brave enough to actually go first, Ella realized that the trolls had heard them and were coming their way. I think this would be a good time to hide, she whispered to Owen. Don't. The two dragons wriggled free from the net and hid behind a tree. The four knights stopped bickering when a shadow fell over them. They looked up to see the big, smelly, and very ugly trolls looking down at them. Ooh. What kind of kittens is you? One troll asked. We're not kittens, Barry stammered. We're knights. Them is the worst kind of kittens, the second troll yelled with a huff. Mommy! Dragon Stomper squeaked. I want my mommy! The trolls snatched up the knights like little dolls and carried them back to their camp. Bum, bum, bum. Tails and snails! Now we can finally go home! Owen started to fly toward Dragon Patch, but he was the only one in the air. You know we can't go home unless we actually go home, he said to Ella. Ella didn't say a word. She just started to collect moss to make a disguise. Owen slumped back to the ground. Let me guess. You want us to save the knights from the trolls. Yep, Ella said. It's part of the dragon code, you know. We don't have a dragon code, Owen replied. Well, we should have one, Ella explained, and rescuing knights is a good way to start. Oh, fine, Owen said, grabbing a handful of moss. Do you think this is a good idea, Apollo? No. Guess what this chapter is called with this idea? Chapter 8. Worst plan ever. You did it, sis, Owen said.
It's all the chapters should be called Worst Plan Ever.
They just keep getting worse, huh?
Yeah, all the chapters should be called Worst Plan Ever.
Yeah. This whole book, maybe. Well, let's see how this plan goes. You did it, sis, Owen said as they flew toward the troll camp. You actually came up with a plan, a bazillion times worse than your last one. Using the moss they had collected around Terror Swamp, the two dragons were disguised as troll fairies. We'll just tell the trolls that we're troll fairies, and we're here to give them a wish, Ella explained. And by the time the trolls figure out that we're not, we'll be long gone with the knights. Ella fluttered into the troll camp. A frightened Owen followed, covering his eyes with his claws. The four knights were tied to a tree next to the trolls, who were making a huge cauldron of lasagna. Oh, hello, Ella chimed as she glided past one of the trolls. My name is Sparkly Sparkle Glitter Pop. I'm a troll fairy, and I have come to grant you a wish. Me think us should eat it, Dumbledore, one troll said the moment he saw Ella. Me think us should toss it into lasagna and then eat it, Dumbledore, Dumbledore answered with a grunt. But I'm a troll fairy. If you eat me, I can't grant you a wish, Ella cried with a gulp. Ooh. I have thought troll fairies be smelly and ugly, Dumbledore asked. Have you met my brother Smelly McUgly, the troll fairy? Ella nudged Owen forward. I'm Smelly McUgly, the troll fairy, a frightened Owen stammered. Wow, that one ugly and smelly troll fairy, Dumbledore said, in agreement. Now, what would you like to wish for?
Smelly.
Oh, yeah. What would you like to wish for? Ella waved her claws around as if conjuring magic. Me wish you get into lasagna so us eat you, Dumbledore answered. Really? I can grant you a wish any wish, and all you come up with is to make me into lasagna? Ella was feeling more courageous. Come on! I can grant you any wish you want. You guys have got to think bigger. Okay, me got good one, Dumbledore said excitedly and smiled to Dumbledore. You ready? It's totally best wish. Me wish that Sparkly Sparkle Glitter Pop and Smelly McUgly get into lasagna so we eat both you. Ooh, that is a good wish, Dumbledore, said Dumbledore. High five. Me wish me thought of that one. They do wish kind of similarly, don't they? Fine, we'll both get into the lasagna so you can eat us, Ella proclaimed with a sigh. But before we grant your wish, you must complete a challenge. Is challenge to eat you? Dumbledore asked. No, you've got to find a talking platypus, Ella said. Blah, 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 blah. A talking pink platypus, Owen added to his sister's plan, hoping to make the task so impossible that trolls would never be able to do it. Named Platty Platta Platta Plat, Ellen said, trying not to giggle. And he was to play the ukulele, Owen said, doing his best to not laugh. Upside down, Ella finished. The two trolls scratched their heads confused. Me gotta find talking pink wattapus named Platta Platta Plat, Dumbledore began. And he got to play Yuka something upside down, Dumbledore added. You got it. Now get to it, Ella cheered. The none too bright trolls rushed off into Terror Swamp on their impossible mission. We'll never see those two again, Ella excitedly flapped her wings faster. How come I've always got to be the smelly and ugly one? Owen complained as he tore off his disguise. You know what they say, if the wings fit. Ella pulled off her disguise and used her claws to slash the ropes that held the knights. I don't understand. Why are you saving us? A confused Barry asked. Because we want to show you that not all dragons are bad, Ella answered. Is that why we're doing this? A surprised Owen smacked the ground with his tail. I thought we were doing this so they'd give us some stinky fish strudel. And to get some stinky fish strudel, Ella added, wrinkling her snout. Thanks for helping us and showing us the error of our ways, Dragon Stomper said. We'll never crush dragons again. There go all the best holidays, Dragon Crusher whined. Instead of using holidays as an excuse to attack fake dragons, why don't you use them as a time to really help others? Owen asked. Oh, yeah, that sounds so much more fun than bashing the straw out of dragons, Dragon Crusher said sarcastically. Is it too late to put them back into the lasagna? Owen asked Ella. Chapter 9. All's well that ends well. Well, all's well that ends with no one getting eaten anyway. Ella, Owen, and the four knights returned to the castle and were greeted with the cheers of Hurrah! Hurrah! The Knights of Camelot have captured whatever those things are by the villagers. No, we didn't capture them, Dragon Crusher quickly corrected. They're our friends. They're dragons, Dragon Thumper explained. Uh-oh. This shocking news was met by a chorus of cheers. Hurrah, hurrah! The Knights of Camelot made friends with evil dragons. No, they're nice, Dragon Stomper quickly corrected. Not all dragons are evil. Not evil, a villager named Byron said with a scoff. Huh! Next you're going to try to tell us that they're not made of straw, too. We're not, Ella finally spoke up. Then what are you made of? Byron laughed. Dragon? It doesn't matter what they're made of, Dragon Stomper added. What does matter is that we've been wrong about them this whole time, and we need to treat them as equals. Equals? A villager named Gwendolyn gasped. There go all the best holidays. The bard held up his mandolin. What am I supposed to do with this if I can't bash the straw from dragons with it? You could try playing music with it, Owen suggested. You can play music on these nights, or on these things, the shocked bard asked. Really? Wait, you can play music on these things? The shocked bard asked. Really? He didn't even know he could play music on his own mandolin, Apollo. What do you think of that?
I thought that was a ukulele or a guitar.
Well, that's what they sent the trolls looking after, but that was a mandolin. And now, to give thanks for all that Ella and Owen have done for us, we Knights of Camelot have taken new names, Barry announced. From henceforth, I shall be called Sir Dragon Buddy, Dragon Crusher called out. And I want to be known as Sir Dragon Pal, Dragon Stomper proclaimed with a cheer. And I will be Sir Dragon, don't quite love them yet, but don't exactly hate them any more, Dragon Thumper said. Barry proclaimed, and from this day forward I shall forever be known as Carl.
He didn't even have to change his name.
No, that's a silly name now.
Barry was much better.
Then Carl? Possibly. Yeah. The knights and the villagers of Camelot bowed deeply as Ellen and Owen waved goodbye, but not before Owen made sure to get his stinkiest fish strudel in the castle. I'm waiting, Ella said as they flew down the path. You're right, sis, Owen said. This was all your fault. I meant that I am waiting for you to admit that my plans are better than yours, Ella replied. Nope, Owen said. Yep, Ella replied. Nopety nope, 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 nope. Yippity yep, 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 yep. Thud, 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 thud. What could that be, Apollo?
The trolls.
The two trolls from Terra Swamp suddenly rushed out of the forest toward them. Ella and Owen skidded to a stop in midair. We got, Dumbledore shouted. Hey, what happens to all your moss? We wished it away, Ella explained, as they no longer had their troll fairy disguises. Owen was the first to realize this could only mean more trouble for him, and probably Ella too. The two dim-witted trolls had somehow found a platypus, a pink platypus, carrying a ukulele, to be exact, which he played upside down, somehow. Oh, my lord.
But it's not talking.
Owen gulped. Oh, no. Please don't tell me your name is... The pink platypus cut off Owen and sang, You got it. My name is Platta, 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 Platt. And I love to sing. Ah la 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 la. Me did what you said, Dumbledore said with a snarl. Now we want us wishes, and me wish you get in the lasagna. Dumbledore added, thrusting the cauldron of lasagna before Ella and Owen. Ella and Owen exchanged a worried look. Got any more bright ideas? Owen whispered to Ella. Unfortunately, Ella didn't have any ideas at all this time. Bum, bum, bum. And that is where we're going to leave it for Book 4. Ella and Owen, the evil pumpkin pie fight. Adios, Internet!